Hello and welcome to today's session, the key benefits of a connected workflow with printIQ and Infigo. So just going to wait for a few seconds, let a few more people join. And if you are joining in the room, please add a few comments, say hello, and of course, we would love to hear where you are from. And panelists, if you see anybody you recognize, please reach out and say hello, or just verbally give them a message. I see some usual suspects straight away. See some very important people in there. Kevin from Positive Plus, I think we'll all concur. Okay, right. For those that are joining us today, thank you very much for taking the time. If you're watching this on the rerun later, then thank you again for watching it when it's more convenient. We'll also be streaming this today live on YouTube as well. So anybody watching via YouTube, thank you for taking the time and hearing the thoughts of our panel. So today's session really is about the benefits of a connected workflow. It's something that Infigo and printIQ have been working on now for just under 10 years. Two very aligned businesses looking to drive efficiencies, revenue and growth back into the PSP. So I'm Chris and I will be leading today's session, and I'm Head of Global Marketing at Infigo. But the real clever people on today's call are Rob Thurston, Sales Manager at printIQ, Paul Bromley, Head of Sales at printIQ, and Paul Van Tongeren, Technical Integration Specialist at printIQ. Paul Van Tongeren is also affectionately known as PVT. So if you ever hear that reference throughout today's call, that's because he's a friend first and a colleague second. So Rob, should we start off with you, buddy? Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and printIQ?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Welcome everyone today. Thank you for joining. I am Rob Thurston from printIQ, Sales Manager. Just a quick bit of background on printIQ. If you don't know about us, we are an MIS system, management information system, and working together with Infigo today, we're going to talk you through the whole process. So really looking forward to this one. Thank you.
Brilliant. I think that leads nicely on to Mr. Paul Bromley.
Yeah, hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Bromley, Head of Global Sales at Infigo Software. Yeah, my role today is to take you through the integration between the two fantastic platforms, but also give you some more information about Infigo if you don't know who we are. We are a leading e-commerce solution with a global reach, working on very intricate integrations and also spreading the word to companies on how they can expand their reach also, and also turbo boost revenue streams. Hopefully we'll take you through that today.
Fantastic, Paul. On to another Paul, PVT. What do you do, sir?
So my day-to-day at printIQ is technical integration specialist for UK and Europe, but primarily the reason for me being here today is I work closely with the Infigo team for any questions, queries, and just generally growing that great partnership between the two businesses.
And hopefully we'll hear more about that partnership throughout today's session. Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to ask today for a bit of housekeeping, a few rules that we like to interact with those that are attending the session, and also those that are watching later on can enjoy some of the comments and feedback that we receive. It's really important to us that you contribute what you believe and what you think. And throughout today's session, we're going to ask for your thoughts. And even if you hear something that you'd like to comment on, or you have a question, please pop it in the chat and one of our team will answer it. So if that sounds good, then please just give us a thumbs up, and you can hear us okay. Give us a quick thumbs up in the chat, and then we'll move on. Who's going to be first to put a thumbs up in the chat? Looks like Brent. No, Steve. Yeah, good. Okay. Good. Right. So connected workflows, we all know, we talk about them a lot, essential to creating seamless online customer experiences. Obviously, what we want is an online customer experience to be frictionless, minimize touch points, And if we can add some personalization along the way, we're going to increase the customer lifecycle. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Bringing these two pieces of amazing software together, or web to print and MIS, well connected, will bring three key benefits, which we're going to discuss. An enhanced customer experience, operational efficiencies, and the most important, data-driven insights, so you can rinse and repeat. Today's session is going to be broken down to the following parts. We've just done some introductions. You met the team. We're going to talk about the partnership and where we are so far to date, the benefits to your business. The customer is always right, of course, and we're going to hear from a few customers shortly. Enhanced customer experience, we'll go into that in a bit more detail. We'll look at data-driven analytics and insights. Finally, we'll look at operational efficiencies, and then we'll close with the Q&A. The Q&A today is already pre-loaded with quite a few questions that have come in from registrants. We'd also encourage you, again, within the chat to add your question, and the panel will try to answer the best they can. We are looking to run between 45 minutes and an hour today, and we may overrun if the questions and the conversations continue to roll. We're not actually going to put a hard stop on it, so you're welcome to dive out past that time and then catch the rest on the rerun. So I'm now just going to share a little video. If you can tell me if you can just hear this.
Being honest, Positive's journey will just keep on growing and it will keep on developing. We do have a passion here to introduce the younger generation into print. We want to make it fun. We want to make it exciting, which was a big point as to why we introduced printIQ and Infigo, because you don't have to have 30 years experience to know what you're doing. It's so straightforward. It's so easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it, because I am the least tech savvy person that there is. We're always going to be pushing those boundaries with the two partners. We always want to make sure that we look after our clients. So anything that they request, we will always push back to you. And we feel that we made the right choice because you guys do listen and you do come back. And even if it's not something that you can do straight away, we know that you'll be looking at it to like further releases or how you could adapt what we want and make it a service that can be available now.
I think I met printIQ first out of all of the workflow that I use, but I think we've picked everything specifically because of the way it works together and the way we came to Infigo because of its integration with printIQ, and it's so powerful the way that integration works. It's hard to even describe to people that don't understand what that is, how powerful that can be. Like for example, yesterday we had a job entered in the morning and another job entered later in the day, and we noticed that the price was different, and we're like, well, something happened. Something must be wrong. But nothing was wrong. One of our materials had gotten more expensive. The price changed in the printIQ system. So the next person that placed the order automatically got the new price, which, you know, if that material could be on 50 different products, and we didn't have to go change the price on 50 different products. That just happens automatically. So the ability to make things work and then they just keep working and not have to manage them in that integration is pretty incredible.
Each system does what they do really well. Whereas we were using one system before that did everything fine, but now we have two systems that can be really stretched and pushed to where we need it to go. From an Infigo point of view, we can offer a lot more automation when it comes to even customers entering the system with single sign-on, or on the other side, checking out with an order and it punching out into their SAP system, and that whole part can potentially be automated. And when it comes into the printIQ and from our internal account manager's point of view, they have the potential to have a job go straight to our suppliers without it being touched. The suppliers return tracking information, which then send tracking emails to our customers. So in theory, if we tick the right buttons, we can have a job be produced without any human interaction whatsoever.
Okay, thank you very much to our customers from 𝐝𝐞𝐞, the Voom Group and Positive Plus. Fantastic feedback and just underpinning the value of the two companies' collaboration, since 2016. This is no fluke. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears gone into this, and there's a very strong piece of development and two very aligned development teams that work very hard, and a lot of tickets, a lot of support hours, a lot of working with the customer to achieve a seamless integration. So well done to all concerned, and congratulations to those that are realizing the benefits already of that integration. So the first tranche of today's session is a customer experience and how can we enhance that. We all know and we all expect an Amazon-like experience now, and it's something that is very apparent in the modern day. 73% of B2B buyers today are millennials, and that's a huge upturn on the last 5 years. So a millennial now will expect software, latest information, all within their mobile device, and they'll expect to be able to receive their goods in the next day. Amazon has changed the way we order, the way we live, the way we expect things to arrive. And online is everything now. So that has to be correct. And that includes whether you're uploading artwork, whether it's been pre-flighted correctly, whether the price information you're receiving on the stock is coming to you at the right times. Very, very important. And of course, you want to know where your items are. So real-time status updates is something that's very, very key, especially this time of year as we're building up towards Christmas. So we'd like to know, are we going to make the delivery before Santa arrives for Christmas? Those real-time status updates are key for that. Some two key stats here, very, very important. 72% of recent data shows that print businesses are seeing increased demand from customers for faster turnaround times. So that pressure is now being pushed onto the PSP. And we're explaining today how software can help relieve some of that pressure. 59% believe that customers' demand just-in-time deliveries will grow. So to kick off our panelists today, I'm going to bring Paul Bromley of Infigo into the conversation now. Paul, what are you hearing and seeing from prospects and customers in the market right now?
Yeah, it's a good question, really, Chris. What we're seeing is companies' type and mix of work is changing, and also how they react to their customers is also changing. So in the past and also present day, the ability to manage a customer through account managers is still very, very important. But at the same time, businesses are also looking at that management style and seeing if they can take a percentage of that customer base away from account management and could they self-serve. So businesses are becoming smarter. They know what they want, but they're struggling to implement that because maybe their system or a process is missing. So that's the key headline there. The second thing is mix of work. So people are looking for more profitable lines of work than what they would historically do. And then also linked to that would then be allowing customers access to interact with them in a different manner. So revenue streams, again, what's worked in the past might not work next year. So how can we tempt new customers on board to our present business? Or do we need to invest in new technology, personalization, short-run packaging, whatever that might be? So the ability to adapt in an ever-changing market space, it would appear at the minute, is also really important.
Okay, thanks, Paul. That's fantastic to hear that as well. And also backing up these figures, you're hearing the word on the street. Just going to ask the people on today's session to just pop into the chat what kind of experiences or behaviors they're seeing right now from their customers. Keep them clean, but if you can share some feedback in what you're seeing or what you're hearing, we'd love to see it and discuss it in the group. Just while we wait for some input there, I see Rick is typing something. I'm going to ask here, let's talk about audience and what types of behaviors and expectations. So is there a particular, and this is back to you, Paul, are you seeing any sort of changes depending on the type of PSP you're working with, or is this expectation across both B2B and B2C?
Yeah, it's quite a broad brushstroke, this one, because it does apply to B2B and B2C at the minute. Yeah, there's a huge demand from a new customer as well. You know, how do you keep that customer? Because the trend now could be you might get one order and you never see that customer again. So how do you engage with that person during that session and then make it super special, super personal, slick, so that they want to stay with you? So that's also a key thing that people are looking at. So that ability to provide a service to that specific customer or customers is hugely important now. And one thing that cannot come into that process is a delay, obstacle, a clunky feel, because as humans ourselves now, we're online every day. If we find something clunky and awkward, then it really does turn us off.
Just before I put the same question to Rob, Paul, I'm seeing Rick in the chat has said a requirement for a mix of B2B and B2C. So, I mean, again, being a bit corny here, surely the combined collaboration of Infigo printIQ allows you to switch up between B2B or B2C whenever you wish? That's an open question to the three of you.
Over to you, Rob. Do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, I mean, you know, just going on the back of what Paul's obviously explained there as well. I mean, you're exactly right, Chris. The integration between Infigo and printIQ, you know, gives you so much. I mean, the customer is now looking for that automated workflow. So they don't want an error. They can't have errors. You're exactly right. It has to be streamlined. And this is probably where, you know, PVT can probably help as well by coming in and, you know, from his integration side of things and understanding that part of it. Everything has to be smooth. As soon as it's not smooth, it's like, you know, as Paul rightly says, you know, if we're online and we are on Amazon and it goes wrong, you don't go back too soon. So and that's where we are, as I think, as two businesses, and we've made that perfect integration for the two. I mean, PVT, can you think of customers that, you know, are benefiting from both the softwares?
Yeah, for sure. I think like a lot of people have ever gone on the sort of MIS or web to print journey. Some of the systems are more focused on either B2B or B2C, and they're really what we're finding in the market is systems are directed in either one way or another. And I think that's where both systems come in nicely on their own, but also even more so joint, is that both systems are easy to use, they're both adaptable, and they both fit both markets, whether that is B2C or B2B, really well. So if the businesses that we're working with do change up what they're doing and go more down one route or the other, they're not having to reinvest and redesign the workflow that they've already got internally. Infigo and printIQ together cover both those markets really well. I think
sorry, just what PVT has said there is the customer also wants the real-time statuses at their fingertips, so to speak. So, you know, people now need the reporting data, like, you know, as a click of a finger, and both our systems, or as one, can give the customer that data. So wherever they are in the globe, on their sunbed in Mallorca, they can see what the business is doing, spend 5 minutes and then go back to the pool. I had a customer say to me on Tuesday that exact thing. They were on a cruise for 2 weeks. They were spending 5 minutes a day just checking everything was okay from the data that was being supplied from both systems. And off they went back to their sunbed again. So
fantastic. Are you going to name the customer, or are we going to keep that one between?
It's Henley's. Phil at Henley's said exactly that. So it's a brilliant.
Phil, you're a legend.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, thanks, gents. That's fantastic. I'm just going to, before we move on, there's a couple of points in the chat. So the great Danny Sullivan is with us today. Thank you, Danny, for joining us and your continued support. He's a shared customer from Positive Plus for both Infigo and printIQ. Danny says they have many B2B DSF clients starting on a B2C journey in 2025. So that says to me that they're using the system well on the B2B platforms, in B2B systems, and they're now about to migrate that through to a B2C as well and have a double offering. So that's good to hear from a PSP. Rick says international delivery, sometimes using customers' shipping accounts. Rick, can I just check that is a challenge you have, or is that something that you're using the system for, or a system for? If you could just pop that in the chat, that'd be great. Rick's just answering now. So while Rick just puts his answer in, we're just going to move on to the next step. So gentlemen, thank you very much. So as we all know, it's fairly obvious. An enhanced customer experience is probably the most important to kick any purchasing journey off. And I think we could have a separate webinar purely on just enhanced customer experiences, couldn't we? Rick's just come back to me and said, international delivery, sometimes using customer shipping accounts. We are using middleware for this, but also need this for printIQ. Thanks, PVT. So it looks like PVT, you've got a little bit of development on the way. And we're excited to see that. Maybe we'll have a webinar with Rick and he can show us that in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Christmas has come early. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to the next section. So just a little recap there. So what we're looking for then is an increased customer loyalty, positive word of mouth, competitive advantage, and revenue growth. We feel that all of that will come from an enhanced customer experience. Remember, 73% of B2B buyers are now millennials. There's evolving expectations, And whether you're a millennial, whether you're younger or older, we all need to start thinking a little bit differently to obviously capture that business. Recent data has also shown that 72% of print businesses are seeing increased demand for customers for a faster turnaround times, and 59% believe that customers' demand for just-in-time deliveries will grow. So let's move on to the next section. Okay, so the middle arm of our three-pronged attack today is data-driven analytics. According to McKinsey's Global Institute, data-driven organization and general statisticians, that 23 more times more likely to acquire customers, but also 6 more times more likely to retain customers, and 19 times more likely for them to be profitable with an integrated workflow. So in essence, the business intelligence improves your operational efficiencies by 80%. That is a huge number. But when we were planning this session and the group was meeting to look at the metrics or the value of a web to print system and an MIS system, the number that came up, and we probably slightly underpinned this number, was that 1 day a week can be saved with an Infigo and printIQ integration. So you'll gain 1 day a week with those two pieces of software. That was a huge stat that we worked out when we put the two processes together. So that's something that really, really stood out to me, because when we're all very time poor and we're looking to squeeze as much as we can from smaller margins, 1 day is a huge number. I'm going to throw this first. Well, I'm going to come back to Rob Thurston actually at printIQ. Rob, tell me a bit more about the data that printIQ are capturing and this 1 day a week.
Yeah, sure, Chris. I mean, I think in both systems, to be honest, whatever you do in either system, you're always capturing data. So whether you're estimating or whether you're actually capturing the data itself through production, there's reports being created in both systems. So that's a bi-directional connection as well, which is really important. And as I said with Phil earlier at Healy's, he wanted to have all this data at his fingertips. So with that side of things in mind, you're always saving costs because you can see everything that's going on. So as soon as anything has gone wrong, it's a big red flag, and no one wants to see that red flag. They just want to see that green flag as everything's going through lovely. So if they have estimated something wrong from an IQ point of view, and it's taken longer to be printing, we can see that data. So the next time that job's done, we're going to be saving the cost in the correct manner. So it's just really important that we do that.
Excellent. And I'm just going to ask Paul now, from a web to print point of view, and the importance of inventory data and it being readily available.
Yeah. This day and age, data should drive decisions. So it shouldn't be an impulse. It shouldn't be my gut feeling. It should be facts now that every business owner looks at. And within IQ, you get a plethora of data that should help any business make a decision. Key to the integration between the two systems, live inventory was probably one of the first, I won't say easiest things because the developers will kill me for that, but live inventory is probably one of the easiest things as part of our super robust integration with IQ. So giving customers their own B2B portals and having access to how much stock they've got for a specific customer of theirs, or maybe that's a solution that they'd like to look at in the future, that you can offer that so a customer can self-serve, because everything we're doing now is looking to take pressure off ourselves. We don't want to add more bodies into our headcount, and we want to add more customers. So how can we make it easier to onboard customers? Let them self-serve, give them more visibility, let them make their own decisions. So that's how data should exist in our co-aligned world.
Okay, thanks, Paul. And PVT, direct reporting. Tell us about that.
Yes, I mean with the certainly like with the inventory and things like that have been integrated within the systems, it's allowing the customers to have that visibility of the traffic going through. So rather than, like Paul said, guesstimating what's going on, you've got them facts and figures there to predict what the trends are within your customer space. And I think having that ability between the systems is key. Having the extensive reporting within printIQ allows that data to be at the fingertips to the customer and management teams to see what's going on within their business and the benefits that have come from having such integrations.
I think we might have lost Chris.
Well, this is a first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this would be a good webinar if we didn't lose our main man.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry,
Should we?
Sorry about
Here
that,
he is. Was that a test, Chris?
Slight technical disagreement. This is real. Slight technical issue here. So back on it. So PVT, I was just about to ask you actually, do you what's it like when you get a report request to work on through the development cycles? How much time does it take? Is it fun, or is it quite tedious? Or tell me a little bit about the process.
Yeah, I mean, the reporting side of printIQ, we've tried to make that as simple as possible with the tools that are built in. And sort of a sneak peek to that, we are currently working on other development pieces to make it even simpler for the customers. So my background traditionally within the technical space was never based around creating reports. But even I was able to pick it up really quickly, manage it. A lot of our customers that may not have had that experience in the past have picked it up, embraced it, and they're getting the facts and figures. And the biggest part about the integration, because of how the data is copied over. If the data is within Infigo, it's in printIQ and vice versa. So whatever's going on within the business, it's fully reportable down to the smallest factor. And I think that brings such value for people to see exactly what's going on.
Yeah, that's quite a nice looking front end web to print system if you have got the data coming downstream to update and tell the user or the PSP what's going on. So thank you for that, gentlemen. You're watching the key benefits of the connected workflow with printIQ and Infigo. We're now going to move on to operational efficiencies. Okay, so this is something that's very, very important. Speed to order. Smithers shared a study that showed that print businesses with a high level of automation are able to complete jobs 40% faster on average. That's a huge stat, gentlemen. I'll come to you in a second and ask you on that. Reduced manual intervention, key point, intelligence, noted automated workflows can decrease errors in print jobs by 50 to 80%, leading less work time and waste. Where do we start with that one? Paul Bromley, I'm going to probably operational efficiencies from web to print, but obviously you have a bit of an understanding as well with MIS. Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, we'll do, Chris. So speed to order is huge nowadays, and then also how it then goes through all the processes to dispatch. So the one thing that is huge between the two systems is the reduction in effort, the reduction in time. So managing one system instead of two. A lot of systems out there nowadays, you will have to manage pricing in both systems, whereas our integration between the two platforms allows just one. So printIQ does become the central source of truth, which is huge in regards to time savings, reduced errors, and improved efficiencies. The other thing as well is the speed to market. So if you do have a customer that comes on board and wants new products, you can build those in printIQ, and then you can do a direct push for some of those products into an Infigo storefront. So you can save all of that time. So having the ability or being able to adapt quickly within minutes almost, and PVT will verify the minutes later rather than a sales pitch of minutes, being the technical person that's asked to perform these small miracles. We are giving you the ability to adapt in minutes to a new customer and try and win new work. And PVT, just on that point, rather than me pitching these these sort of fantastic figures out, have you got any examples, or do you confirm that they are minutes in regards to the product push from the system?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even taking the product as Infigo out of the box, once the storefronts are present, connecting Infigo to printIQ is a matter of minutes. It's a tried and proven integration that it's built into the platform. There's no smoke and mirrors. You hook it up, it works. When it comes to the products from printIQ, if customers have existing product libraries or they want to create new ones, that can be created on a single basis in a matter of minutes, as well as if you've got a large amount of products, part of the product sync will also take any categories that you've created in printIQ and sync those to Infigo as well. So it's a totally mirrored setup between the two platforms. There's no creating or managing in two systems. So it's 100% error reduction between the two platforms.
So what you're saying there then, PVT, is you don't need experienced staff so much anymore. Sort of not saying anyone can do it, but it's a lot more automated than what we had. So, you know, if you're running two systems or you're booking jobs in individually.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the product sync as a development piece we did a few years ago between the two partners, that reduced errors even more, because there would be instances where you'd have a team working on the MIS side and a team working on the web to print side. And it relied on both teams obviously communicating and making sure the products, prices, everything like that existed in both systems. Whereas now with the product sync, if a new product's added or removed, it's done in real time against the storefront. So if you need to remove stuff, you remove it from printIQ, it's removed from the storefront. Any new products or product ranges can be quickly uploaded in bulk.
And probably deploy some of those staff that were being used many times before for those multiple things to other parts of the business where maybe there is bottlenecks possibly in finishing, get that done, make the whole business more profitable realistically overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's making things simple and keeping things in sync.
Got it.
Great, gentlemen. Thank you for that input. That's fantastic. And again, PVT using a proven story and sharing that speed to market. I'm just going to pause for a second, give you guys a breather, just to say that anybody on today's session or watching on the rerun, excuse me, if you would like to book a discovery call with either Paul or Rob from printIQ, then please use the QR code you can see on the screen, and you can spend some time with each of those guys finding out a little bit more on how the systems can help you and help your business. We also have a collection of white papers that we're offering today for download. Again, we'll give you a bit more insight into why the two businesses work so closely, the importance of web to print, and the value that web to print and MIS together brings. And obviously the importance of the productivity and the boost of profitability that you can receive with MIS. We're just going to pop some links in the chat in a moment, and please feel free to download those. They're all free, and there'll be more white papers coming out in due course. I believe there's one from printIQ soon to land as well. So please download, have a look, reach out to the team, and get some discussions going, because ultimately these guys have seen what works, the good, the bad, the ugly. Ultimately, they know what works and what will help. So just a quick sort of overview of the importance from the MIS side of it, and why it's so important that the MIS is driving your web to print, and the two are working in line and in tandem. We're looking for financial data. It's important to have the right data at the right time. We've heard the guys talk about this two-way data stream. We have inventory stock items. PVT touched on the work that's gone on already between the two platforms and passing through stock information between the two platforms, quality of records, operational efficiencies, customer experience, and retaining customers. These are all things that ultimately will lead to a much better and profitable business. Okay, here's the best part of today's session. It's the Q&A, generally where we let our guests off their leads and let them say what they wish, which can be quite dangerous sometimes. I'm going to kick off today's session with PVT. And I'm also going to say at this point as well, although I'm going to start with the first question, I'm going to ask anybody in the chat, if they have a question for our panelists today, please pop it in. We will try and answer every question we can. And should we not be able to, we will follow up post this session. So PVT, you've kind of answered this question already with your previous answers on other sections of today's call. I was going to ask you, what are the main working benefits of printIQ and Infigo being integrated? Now that's quite expansive.
It's very expansive. I think the first thing I probably want to mention on it is the partnership. I know we keep coming back to it, but I think what we've found like in different areas, stuff like that, what customers have reported back to us is that sometimes when you're working with multiple vendors to get a solution together, there's sometimes a bit of us and them, etc. And I think that's where the partnership with Infigo works really well, because we're both experts in our field. Bold statement, but it's one of those things that we communicate well together. Both teams talk, they work out problems. It's never a finger pointing exercise. And I think that's the bit where if either party gets a report for the integration that something's not quite right, we work collectively together to come up with a solution. It's not all on one person. And I think that's where it works really well. The customer's not only getting the products, they're getting that communication. It's sort of that hands-off approach from their side, where once they've reported something, we work together to get that resolution in place.
Okay, so what you're saying here is then, as a collective, you guys spend time working with the customer on calls, finding out what their problems. I think Sarah mentioned it from Positive Plus, where there's sometimes things that aren't in the system. And I think, Rob, it's a nice time to bring you in terms of your approach with being a consultant in this space.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I mean, yeah, we've certainly moved more to consultancy selling rather than the old-fashioned selling, the old hard-nosed selling. We now have to, a discovery call, and I'm sure Paul Bromley will back me up on this. The discovery call was the first part of the process, which is now so important to find out more about the customer, how they're currently working, what they're currently doing, where their pain points are, and how Infigo or printIQ can help them out moving forward. If you don't have that discovery call and understand the pros and cons of where the customer currently is, then you're on a hike into nothing, so to speak. The demo will go wrong. You'll be proposing the wrong thing. So discovery, understanding where the customer currently is, what they're currently doing, is so important.
Okay, that's brilliant. Paul, do you want to come in on that? Because obviously Rob just referenced there your input on discovery as well. Well, I think we...
Oh, Paul, can't hear you.
There we go. Let me just... Just waiting and see. We'll just wait for Paul to check his sound options. We've just seen that Danny is... yeah, so Danny Sullivan from Positive Plus says working as a collective delivers what clients require. So, yeah, brilliant. Chris, can you touch on William's comment above? So let's just see what William's saying here. So William says, we have a growing B2B and B2C e-commerce with over 50 stores. We are missing a full-featured e-com store that can sell everything needed from business card to promotional items and apparel. We have a site that sells print well, but not apparel and vice versa. Interesting, gentlemen. Do we see that as a challenge with the two platforms selling both printed items as well as apparel?
Paul,
Can you hear me now? Am I back?
Yeah.
Yes, you can answer that question, Paul.
Well,
on cue.
Plug in, plug out. Yeah. So, no, this is the thing. This is what we're facing nowadays. We're facing customers that primarily did general commercial print. Now they're looking at wide format, then they're looking at short run packaging, and then others are looking at apparel. So having that flexibility within software, we have to match what a customer may do. So we are fully versed in regards to apparel or GCP, general commercial print, or wide format. So I wouldn't see that as a challenge. And we've got several installs that we can share and cover with case studies. So no issues whatsoever.
Jen, slightly going off piste here, but has this been something that's been driven by COVID, where PSPs now need to have multiple revenue streams, so therefore they need to diversify? Would you say this is just an expectation now in the post-COVID world? Who wants that one?
Yeah, PVT, do you want to take that?
Yes, I think definitely we're seeing that trend from our side as well. I think it's in some cases, it may be down to that sort of customer trust. So if the customers buying from a business that they trust, they want to expand it out. It might only be small quantity they're buying, but it's that convenience factor as well, I think, within there. It helps fill gaps, and I think there's a wide market within that, especially for companies that deal with brands, for example. again, it brings that convenience factor in where they're able to buy from one source.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. That's slightly off topic there, but I think William's comment there was very apt, and we asked people to contribute today with what they're seeing, and this is really good to hear. Paul Bromley, you feel quite strongly about the printIQ Connect module, don't you? Do you want to tell us a little bit about how strongly you feel about it?
Yeah, I think Infigo as a business was born out of a passion to make things easier for people. And the integration between printIQ is the best to date, bar none. So we've got many elaborate integrations, but this one is so refined, so polished, that Infigo are happy to provide the printIQ module to existing customers, new prospects, free of charge, because essentially we want our business to be successful, and we have to be looking at our customer base to be successful to do that. But we believe in this so much that we are willing to give that module away for free, because we see the benefit that it brings to our existing customers.
And if people want to get in touch with you about that, they can just book a discovery call, can they, or how can they?
Yeah, they can book discovery calls, because every situation, every company is different on how they want to use the software. So as Rob referred to earlier, the discovery call, talk to people on that. Sadly, if you're an existing IQ user and you've already got the Infigo connection, we can't offer any refunds. So this is only for
new customers.
In case Danny popped up, I think Danny might pop up with my refund, joking aside. But we do believe in it so much, and all we're hearing is fantastic feedback.
Brilliant, fantastic. So guys, if you want to find out more about that, please drop a comment in the chat, and we'll reach out to you after the call. If you're watching this on the playback or on YouTube as well, please drop a comment on the whatever platform you're watching it on, and we will follow up afterwards. Same for printIQ. If you want to know more about printIQ, again, let us know in the chat and we will follow up. Okay, so let's get into. I'd like to see some more questions coming from the chat. Let's see. So Rick's come back actually. He said there isn't much out there catering for print plus embroidery, sublimation, UV direct object. Hopefully this will change. PVT, you've answered him already. So obviously you feel there is something out there that can do it, or you feel you have a solution. Do you want to elaborate on that anymore, or do you want to leave that as a private conversation?
No, we can elaborate on this. So I think from what I've seen within the Infigo storefront over the past few years of working closely with you guys, that caters quite nicely for that sort of apparel market as well. But as well, to sort of polish that off a bit, within printIQ, we've introduced a promotional workflow as well. So we've sort of had that challenge in the past where people have wanted to produce sort of apparel and other items that may be a little bit outside the norm of print. So we've adapted, like Infigo's adapted, to sort of cater to those parts. Again, it's a work in progress. It's one of those where the more customer feedback both parties get, the better we can improve that solution.
Thank you so much. Again, apologies for being ad hoc, but again, these questions are coming through and these are fantastic. Thanks, Rick, as well for contributing. Yeah, okay, so I'm now going to ask all of you. Actually, let's talk about the nitty gritty. What are the main benefits of an integrated system? I'd like probably a minimum of 5. But if you can do more, then I'm all ears. What's the main benefits of an integrated system? Again, very expansive, but I'm sure you guys have plenty to enlighten us with. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first if you want. I mean, it's massive amounts of benefit. I mean, we could probably go on for the next hour, maybe 2 hours, Chris, with the benefits. Obviously, you're working with one workflow. So, it's 2 softwares combined as one, working superbly well. So it's one entry of data, you're not entering that data again. So it's very streamlined, very automated, it's clean, it's fast. So that would be probably the main benefit to start off with.
Okay, who wants to better that one? Who else can
go on? I'll go first. I'll go next.
Go on, Paul.
Yeah, there's not many web to print solutions that also affect production. So one of the key things that I see, and I am so blown away with it every time that we demo this, is when an order is placed in an Infigo storefront, amazingly that then is ingested into printIQ. The artwork is ingested, the PO is ingested, the method of payment is, the shipping is, also the production process of how that job needs to be manufactured through that business, such as pre-press, proof, printed, stitched, trimmed. Now that's all come from Infigo based on the integration. Now, all the print service provider then has to do is pick a production slot, check material, but that's come from your web to print. So it's a fully automated solution. The artwork's all put in place. That to me, I would say when we talk about a day being saved, we are so under-egging the omelette there, because it's way, way more than that. And that's the big one that I love about the integration, is that it affects production. So when we look at getting jobs into production quicker, that's the one.
I think just to jump in on that one, Paul, I think to expand on that, I think when you start looking at the integrations that are available within Infigo and printIQ as solutions as well, for some of the jobs where customers may be looking at them and they're maybe lower margin jobs because there's a lot of hands on them, Infigo and printIQ both have integrations in a shape and form to items like pit stop, for example. So it means that whatever the artwork that is supplied hitting the systems, it's being pre-checked. It can then hit printIQ, go for a product like M-Focus switch, and that sort of pre-production studio part can almost be written off in a lot of cases. And that's a lot of time and money that gets spent in correcting and laying out artwork and things like that. And having both systems where they've got so many different integration possibilities outside of today, really brings that power to the business and allows them to start doing those smaller run jobs, those maybe smaller margin jobs where they have to be more competitive.
Can I just interject there, gentlemen? I just would like to remind ladies and gentlemen they're watching the key benefits of a connected workflow with printIQ and Infigo. And today's session is not about demoing software and telling you how it's going to change the world, but what it will do is it will change your business. And again, this we've heard 3 times already that 1 day a week can be gained through an integrated workflow with printIQ and Infigo. And again, 3 times we've heard that 1 day is slightly underestimating that number. So potentially it could be more. So, you know, that's a serious amount of time, and we all know time is money. Gentlemen, do you have any more on those points, or would you like me to move on?
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Go on, Chris. Sorry, go on, Rob. Sorry.
Go on, Rob.
Again, you know, it is the customer experience. Again, that's one platform. The customer's happy, they come back. That's what both our companies want, and what, you know, the people we're selling this software to want. They want customers to come back. They're tied in then realistically. And again, the reporting side as well. Reporting from both systems is outstanding, which you know, is so important.
I think one of the things we've sort of maybe touched on but didn't mention as well is obviously going back to that Amazon experience. Customers want to click a button to order a product. In the case of Infigo, they might want to use Mega Edit to customize that product, make it their own. That's going through printIQ, potentially automated through the production point of view, but actually going back to that real-time status update, once that job is within printIQ and the job's been dispatched, not only does the customer get the notification of that via email, they also get all the tracking link as well. So it's saving on those phone calls saying, where's my parcel, where's my item? That's being sent directly to the customer. The customer's being updated along that process at every point.
So PBT, just staying with you for the minute. So you've got ship statuses, we've got live inventory levels, product sync, I think you mentioned that earlier about the catalogs and things. Custom quoting, which I think we covered in the previous webinar. Live pricing, that's a thing, right, between the two systems. What about double entry? What about errors?
I think that's the biggest thing. Like a number of customers that we have took on board on both sides. I think the biggest problems they had before was they didn't have an automated system. So they would have orders coming in. They'd have someone sat there physically moving those orders between the systems, which is double entry to start with. Obviously, with not having that integrated link, there's room for errors there. You're constantly backwards and forwards. One customer we dealt with, their system was totally standalone. So they were entering data into more than one MIS platform because they're diverse. And then also they were having to export for accounts. They were then having to update ship statuses back into the system again. So they had a number of team members that their day-to-day job was literally entering data. Now, again, it goes back to Paul Bromley's point of some of the businesses have bottlenecks, and by removing that stream out of the system, it's removing that error, that's removing the reprints because someone's entered the size wrong or a laminate wrong. It's removing that error, and the sort of I guess the customer satisfaction goes up from that because it's right first time, and it's removing the requirement to change prices in two systems. Print, like Paul sort of attested to, printIQ becomes a source of truth, so you're updating in one place and it's live there and then on the front end.
Okay, and I think that reducing the errors and obviously the experience of the customer leads me nicely on to a question we've had going back to the Amazon experience. Paul, we've discussed earlier about how solutions change the journey for the better. Do you want to give me some examples of that from a web to print perspective rather than MIS?
Yeah, I think employee satisfaction, there's a new generation of people entering the business, and systems have to be, I would say, friendly, very Amazon-esque in regards to the simplistic approach to everything. So gone are the days where you need to be a NASA scientist to book an estimate onto a system. It has to be so simple nowadays. So in Infigo's world, we're always trying to do that, whether that's through existing platform development, customer requests. So that's the order taking part. And obviously, you've got to do that ideally nowadays without adding headcount into the business. So it's always got to be improving a system or a solution you have in place first. And that's almost mirrored in printIQ world as well. So, as I said, people aren't leaving university, definitely not university or college now with a print degree.
Yeah.
So there's a battle on for employing people. And that challenge is we're employing people with no skills in print at all. So to have two software platforms that meet those needs head on, quite unique in what I've experienced anyway.
So Sarah touched on it on the highlight reel we showed at the beginning of the session, that they find the systems easy to use. They don't have to be incredibly technical. PVT said earlier, Paul Bromley, that it takes minutes to set up an Infigo platform, and the system, is well, because it's well integrated. Are you seeing that speed there as well for when people do take on Infigo and then they want to connect through to printIQ? Are you seeing that speed to market?
Yeah. This is the feedback from customers. The innovation that has been developed by Infigo with printIQ is the customer that's driving this request. So this isn't something that we think would be a nice thing, because our development list is very lengthy at the moment, because we do get involved in the intricate, the simplistic, and everything in between. Yep. But the one thing with the IQ integration is it's all about the customer journey between the two platforms. And that's fed back to us that, if, for example, something was a bit, I won't use the word clunky, but they wanted it more polished. Okay. That's when we'll work on that. So yeah, it's
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Paul, PVT, just before you jump in there, hold that thought. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. We want to hear your thoughts as well. It can be anything relevant to obviously the topic, but please add in some comments there. PVT, let me go back to you. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, you're right. No, it's not a problem at all. I think I just wanted to sort of cover off Paul's point and expand on it a little bit. We had a customer recently. They've been on a web to print journey for quite some time, and they'd got bits working and they were happy to some degree with it. But they recently moved to Infigo. They're an existing IQ customer, and from their experience of spending a few years trying to refine it, myself and Ben, who's one of the team members at Infigo that many on this call will have maybe dealt with, we were able to take an Infigo storefront and create the products using Product Sync and get the customer live and working all in one call. I think that sort of speaks to the power of the integration. There's no, I've got to go away and turn things on. It's there in the system, and we work together to get that platform stood up nice and quickly.
So should, in your, this is to all three of you, should Infigo come with a label on the side of the box saying printIQ ready, and should printIQ come with a label on the box saying Infigo ready?
I think it does to a degree.
Yeah,
I think
I think it's
share the story. You know, the logos are on both websites, I believe. So, you know, and everyone on this webinar is, you know, speaks very a lot to each other. So we're sharing all this stuff a lot, I think.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen, so much for your time and sharing your input. We don't have any more questions coming in, so I'm gonna move on. We're literally coming up to the hour. Paul Bromley, one last time. So if people want to get a sight of the printIQ or Connect printIQ module, which you mentioned at the moment, there's a promotion on. They can message you directly. Rob, if they want to have a session with yourself and Paul for that matter for a discovery call, there's 2 QR codes on the screen there. As we said earlier, these guys have got a fountain of knowledge, and you know, please reach out. And there's no such thing as a silly question, and I'm sure there'll be a scenario that they could help with. Thanks, Rick. No, Rick, thank you very much as well for your time as well. We'll be sharing the links to the white papers as well later on. And remember, you can watch today's session on the rerun, which we will email out to you later on. Finally, I'd just like to say thank you to you all for taking the time to watch today. Thank you to the panelists as well, who are very busy individuals. Thank you to Carissa, who's been maintaining the chat. And we look forward to future developments, and hopefully next time, PVT, we'll let yourself and maybe Alex loose with the software, and we'll do some live demonstrations. And that nicely brings me onto my point today. We really wanted to not demonstrate the software. We wanted to go over the facts, the figures, and the why you need to invest in the software. You may choose other software, but what we're saying is a tried and tested method and model, and we have the case studies to back it up. So thank you once again, and Merry Christmas to you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you
everyone.